So one of the key issues in the computer science free response is understanding what the question is. So I think you should spend at least 5, maybe 7 minutes just reading through and understanding, maybe making notes on what the question is actually asking before you actually start to think about the answer. Some of them come really quick, and that's great. Spend as much time as you need, but not too much time actually. So and then you can use more time on the other ones. If it's taking you way too long, perhaps consider skipping it. This one, I think, is one of the more understandable FRQs. So, let's read it. This question involves the process of taking a list of words called word list and producing a formatted string of specified length. So, we're taking a list of words and making a formatted string of some specified length. Okay, the list, word list contains at least 2 words consisting of letters only. Great. When the formatted string is constructed, spaces are placed in the gaps. Formatted string. Oh, and it gives you examples, so maybe that's best to just read it quick and then look at the examples. Spaces are placed in the gaps between words so that as many spaces as possible are evenly distributed to each gap. The equal number of spaces inserted into each gap is referred to as a basic gap width. That's this part. I'm assuming. Well, I mean, hopefully later on I'll get a better idea. Any leftover spaces are inserted one at a time into the gap from left to right. Oh, so if there are like 2, 2, 2. Oh, so the basic gap, if they're not all even, then these ones, like the first one would definitely have more than the last ones if there are extra leftover spaces. Okay, the following 3 examples illustrate the concept, or these concepts. In each example, the list of words is to be placed into a formatted string of length 20. So for this example, it's length 20, 0 to 19. That's not. It's just for the example. It's not what you're going to hard code into your answer. So you get these words: AP, comp, sci, rocks. That's from there, and that's 1, 2, 3. I mean, it says number of letters in the words. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then you have to put it into 20 spaces. Okay, that's great. I'll come back to this if I need to. This one has a gap of 1. The rest have gaps of 2. Okay, that's nice. Alright, you'll implement 3 static methods in the class name string formatter. That is not shown. This problem seems understandable. It's giving you words, and then it gives you, I'm assuming, a formatted string length, and you have to put in those words into one single string so that it's spaced evenly as possible. That's pretty much it. I try to summarize it in my head, put it in my own words. Maybe it helps me get a better understanding of what the problem is asking for. Now, write the string formatter method, total letters. Okay, so this is called total letters here, which returns the total number of letters in the words in its parameter word list. Remember, word list is either an array of words that holds strings or an array list, or so we can consider it an array list here because it's giving us a list, so it's nice we can use the array list methods. For example, if the variable list string words, if this list is a frog is, then you call the string formatter dot total. So string formatter is the entire class, right? Well, I guess it doesn't give us an outline. So we would call this method and we would pass it the list of words, and then it returns 7 because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 letters in there. You may assume that all words in word list consist of 1 or more letters. Okay, great. So for this one shouldn't be too bad. We get a list, so I'm going to need to make room for a list inside my method here, and then I'm going to go through the list and then count each letter and store it somewhere. Actually, I don't think I need to copy this at all, because I'm not modifying it. Because normally what I want to do is, if I'm modifying something, if I'm modifying like an array or an object, I would copy all its contents, so that I don't actually modify the thing. I would copy it, modify what I copied, and then return what I copied, so that it's not actually modifying the original, unless I wanted that. So in this case, I'm not really modifying anything. I'm just counting its contents. So I just want to access each word in here. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. And this is the way I think about it. I just go along. Actually, I need some integer that accumulates or counts. So I'm just going to make something called count, and it starts at 0. This is going to count the number of letters in each word. And I'm going to accumulate each. So like the first time I run something, if for this example, inside count, I would put 1. For the next word, I would put 4 more. So then count would read, or like inside the count variable, I would have 5, because this would be 4 plus 1. And then the last time, for this example, it would be 7. So I'm going to accumulate stuff. So I need something to hold that number. And then what I want to do is I want to access every element inside word list. I could use a for loop, but for each loops are good when you want to access every single element. So the way we start a for each loop would be for, and then you give it the data type. So for each string, because the word list holds strings. So you say for each string, give it some temporary variable. We'll call it temp word. And then colon. So for each string called temp word inside word list. So for each string in word list, we're going to store it into temp word, and I want the length of that temp word. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at each temp word and get the length. So count gets, now I could say, so don't write this down because this is not complete. I could say temp word, and it's a string, so I can say temp word dot length. If you just left it like this, that's okay. You wouldn't get points marked off. But for strings, you'd use that. For arrays, you can use dot length without parentheses. For array lists, you can use dot size with parentheses. But in this case, strings are objects, so they have methods. So it would be with the parentheses. But if you left those off on accident, you wouldn't get points marked off on the AP exam. So this is fine, except for it only stores the length of this single one into count. So the first time it runs, it would store 1. Count would have 1 inside it. And then the next time it runs, it'll get 4 and overwrite the 1 that I had, and it'll change it to 4. It won't accumulate if I do it like this, but I want it to accumulate. So the way I can fix that is either by going plus equals, which is the quickest way to do it, or if you don't understand that, that's just count gets count plus. So maybe you understand that a little bit better. So now I'm actually accumulating. So the first time I run this, I get temp word dot length, and I add it to count. The first time I run it, that's just 0, so nothing happens, and I just get whatever that was. The next time I run it, this will have the value of 1 if I'm still thinking about the example. And so it'll get 4, right, plus 1, and then it'll be 5 in there. And then the last time I run it, it'll get 2 for this, plus 5 is 7. So there we go. But I need to return something. I need to return an integer. So I just return count, because it should be all done after that. And that's it for part A. Hopefully that was understandable. That one was an easy one in my opinion, and it's worth 2 points. You get 1 point for accessing every single element inside a word list. So using a for each loop does that. And adds the length of each accumulated count. So like this part. So it's 1 point for accessing each word and also accumulating the count, and then 1 point for initializing and returning the count. There you go.